A future employer or client might not always opt to hire the best person for a new job, but they may instead hire the person they can understand the fastest. I want you to imagine a recruiter, a potential employer, or a client visits your LinkedIn profile. And instead of being drawn in, they're met with a generic about section description that leaves them feeling indifferent and doesn't show why you are the perfect fit for them. If you can't explain how you can solve their needs, they're gonna scroll on to someone else's profile. In a nutshell, every story has a character who wants something, encounters a problem. Before they can get it, they meet a guide who steps in to their lives, gives them a plan, calls them to take an action that helps them either avoid failure or end in success. It's that simple. And now that I've shared the 7-part framework, you'll see some variety of this in every great story that you hear, watch, or read going forward. So our first action today is to use your about section to tell your story. When someone views and reads your about section, they should immediately understand who you are, the problem you help solve, and why you are the right person to help them. I encourage you to begin by positioning your most ideal visitor to your profile as the main character in your story. So if you've not yet done so, I want you to get clear on who that person is that you're hoping to serve. It could be a future partner, a prospective client, or possibly a recruiter or employer. Once the who is clear to you, then you'll begin to position yourself as the guide in your story. Here's what that looks like and how you'll frame this. So first thing, your first sentence in your about section should be about 6 to 9 words that hook your visitor by addressing the problem you solve. It could be a question, it could be a thought-provoking statement. For example, let's say you're an accountant and you want to open with a question. You could say, looking for a numbers-driven problem solver. Next, I want you to identify and call out their problem. What problems are they facing that you can help them to solve? For example, a recruiter may be looking for a specialist who can solve a specific problem for their company, or a client may need someone with your expertise to achieve their goals. Next, it's time to present your solution. Present your knowledge, your unique skills and experiences as the solution they need to solve their problems. You want them to imagine success working with you. So you want to share your achievements. This is where you explain how you've helped others overcome the same challenges and can help them to do the same. Be sure to close with a clear call to action, whether that's to schedule a call with you, visit your website, or request more information. Remember, a great story is the bridge between your profile visitor and a meaningful connection. Here is an example of how I have used my about section to tell my story. As you'll see, I've opened with the thought-provoking question, is your brand cutting through the noise? I've gone into expanding on the problem that I'm hoping my ideal visitor will relate to, and then begin to describe my expertise, my skills, my experience, and the offering and opportunities that I extend to the persons I'm hoping to serve. And then lastly, I go into a bit of a personal touch to share a little bit more about who I am and our call to action to schedule time with me to talk further. I hope this helps. The next step is to show them how you can deliver on that promise. This is where the featured section comes into play. Think of it as your portfolio. This is where you get to showcase proof of your success and give your audience more pathways for how you can actually help them. Here's an approach to consider applying to your featured section. The first thing is to select content that highlights the challenges you've helped others overcome, whether that's a case study, a testimonial, or maybe a project you've worked on. Secondly, if you've written articles, featured media, or links that demonstrate your expertise, showcase them right here. Third, this is a great area to share success stories and highlight video and posts that show the outcomes you've achieved for others. So give your profile visitor a glimpse into how you work, what results you've delivered, and how you can do the same for them. The featured section is your opportunity to provide that tangible proof of your expertise and help potential clients, recruiters, and partners visualize what working with you would look like for them. As of the time of this video recording, I'm using this space for inviting my profile visitors to join this challenge, to invite me to speak at their events, and to view and listen to my podcast. One other thing to share with you is that by clicking in to edit that featured section, you'll also notice that you have the ability to add different content pieces to your featured section, including a post that you've written previously. You could add a newsletter, you could add an article, a link that could be to articles, websites, videos, as well as media. You could upload a presentation, a document, a picture to this featured section. So there's quite a bit of variety in terms of the different content types and elements that you can add in this section. The last piece of today's challenge is to reintroduce or introduce yourself to your LinkedIn network through a reintroduction post. This is where you combine everything we've discussed today, your story, your plan, and the opportunity that you offer. I want you to create a clear and concise message for your post caption that introduces who you are, the problem you solve, and how you help people achieve success. I also highly encourage you to add a bit of you and your personality. And as with every other action you take in this challenge, I want you to work to humanize yourself. This doesn't have to be all professional and leave out the parts that create a real human connection with the people that you're hoping to engage and win over. Here's an example of how you might structure your reintroduction post. This is some copy that I'm sharing on a reintroduction post of mine. You can see that I open with, again, a hook. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Stephen A. Hart. I go into a bit of the problem my ideal audience is experiencing, and just as we did with the About section, I'm sharing a little bit about what I do, my experience and expertise, and some of the ways that I offer a solution to those problems. Again, I add in a bit of a personal touch about being a husband and dad and where I'm from, and I have a call to action for my LinkedIn challenge here. So great example on how I leverage a reintroduction post to gain some visibility and also communicate to my community how I may be of assistance. And this is a great post, by the way, for you to pin in your featured section to share a little bit more about who you are and what you do. Today's challenge, storytelling your success, and its 3 actions: optimizing your About section, updating your featured section, and reintroducing yourself, are all about creating clarity, building trust, and guiding your audience towards taking the next step with you. By positioning yourself as the guide in their story, you're helping them see how working with you can lead to success. If you need help, support, or feedback as you work through these 3 actions, shoot me a quick email. I'm here to help you make your LinkedIn profile as powerful and engaging as possible.